here today to walk through tips and tricks and give you a little quick preview of X8. Alongside me, as always, is Dave Miller, our applications guy, and my beloved Matt, inside sales rep. So to get started this morning, I just kind of want to go over a few kind of house cleaning type things. All our lines are muted, just because I don't want you guys or a bunch of people kind of talking over each other. It just keeps things a little bit more streamlined. If you guys can hear me, if you guys up on your upper right corner, you'll see a little hand. If you guys can hear me okay, if you guys can just click that button to make sure you can hear me. And Matt here will let me know as soon as we got a lot of people raising their hands. Hopefully, if you guys do have any audio issues, if it starts breaking up during the middle of this, you can go ahead and use the telephone to call in to be able to hear me a little clearer. It just depends on your internet connection. All good, Matt? All right, so Matt will clear your hands off for me. All right, so since you guys are muted, if you guys do have any questions, you can always go and type them in, and Matt or one of the other guys here, or Dave, will try to answer your questions as we go through this. And I am going to mute my phone. So if you guys do have questions, go ahead and type them in there. If we don't get back to you guys right away, don't worry, because Matt will have a copy of these, and we'll try to answer the questions throughout the day, or obviously you guys can always give me a call. Just for you guys to know who we are, and we're constantly always growing, as Matt put in here. Sales, Jeff is our president. I, of course, am the sales manager. Todd handles all of Wisconsin. Matt does all the inside sales, and then we've got Dave who handles our Iowa sales. On the tech side, we've got Norbert, Scott, Dave, Ryan, and one of our new guys, Peter. Pretty excited about him, smart kid. And then Kim is always handling the customer service codes and etc. And as you guys know, you can always contact us at our 888 toll-free number. You can also reach out to us at the 847-428 number. You can email in at sales@shopwareinc.com. Tech stuff can always go to tech@shopwareinc.com. And don't forget to visit our website. We are going to start, uploading a lot of different little tips and tricks also to our website with Dave and Scott doing little videos and stuff. We'll put them up there. Having different setup sheets, those are always up there. So feel free to, take a look at our website, and for scheduling the classes too, you can always see when's the next available class. All right, so I'm going to exit out of my beloved PowerPoint here. I'm going to close out of my Skype so I don't get interrupted during all this. Sign out. All right, so to get started, I'm just going to kind of go through some of the things that we commonly get questions asked to us about, kind of show you a few little tips and tricks into here. And then at the end, I am going to go ahead and turn some over to Dave. Dave's got some cool tips that he's ran into in the past to kind of help you guys be more productive. And then I'm also just going to touch a little bit on X8. I know it's not going to be the total X8, because I could easily do X8 for a couple hours, no problem. We are going to be doing rollouts. We'll be doing more webinars as time gets closer to the X8 release, which should be coming up in the next few months. But I kind of want to give you guys just a little glimpse on the mill side of what's coming new. But keep in mind, there's a lot more coming new, and we'll go through that. I'm going to try to also be a little bit more proactive on getting you guys out these little webinars, and I'm going to try to shorten them up a little bit. My goal today is only do about a half hour, 40 minutes, until I get the hook and cane to get out of here. So to kind of start through, we'll start off with some 2D stuff and some of the things that I've ran into. One of the big things that I've run into is when you go and goes on to this, when you go into Mastercam and you're getting ready to Toolpath something. So I go into here and I say, all right, I'm going to Toolpath, I'm going to do a contour. This is going to be the name of my NC file, so I'm ready to pick, right? And I want to go and get all the way around my box here. So I click here, and all at once it just stops. I'm like, man, what's going on here? Well, a lot of times what it could be is either overlapping geometry, could be broken entities, but sometimes it's kind of hard to see that. And if you look here, and even if I did a trim 2 entities, everything looks good. Now, one of the things you can do is we have also custom add-ins. They're called C-hooks. They're just, a quick way to help with productivity. My one favorite, as always, is the find overlap routine. So if I hold down the Alt key, press the letter C all at the same time, I pull up this dialog box. So here, if I want to, I can just go and hit F for find, and you'll notice I get the find overlap. So I'm going to click on find overlap. Mastercam next prompts me right at the very top, select the entities I want to check for overlap. Well, let's go ahead and just put a window around everything here and hit enter. And what it's going to do is it's going to pop up with this dialog box letting me know that I have overlapping entities here. If I didn't, it would have went and said, there's no overlapping entities found. So if I hit the word cleanup here, it says, all right, well, there's going to be 4 of them that are going to be deleted, and then you're going to have to repaint and look for gaps. Okay. So as you can see, I refresh my screen. And let's just say I go and do a toolpath again, go back in a contour. This is going to be the name of my NC file. And now notice where I pick and where I start, I get a nice complete chain going all the way around. That's just something that's really quick on going and cleaning up overlapping entities. Now, a lot of people would be like, well, Chris, what about the delete duplicates? Doesn't that do the same thing? Well, it does in a sense that it has to be an exact overlap, meaning that line has to be the same exact line. If I had a line that was only half the distance here, that wouldn't be considered to be an exact duplicate. So that's where that find overlap comes into play. It's a great C-hook. It's automatically loaded on your system. When you guys do an install, it's easy to get to. You can just, like I said, hold down the Alt key, press the letter C for Chris, and then you can pull it up and it's find overlap. Hit F, find overlap. Okay? Great little add-in there. Now another one that I really like is being able to find out exactly on a 2D drawing set what size holes do I have on my screen. So if I was to go into here and I say, well, I want to find out exactly what holes I have on the screen, what sizes. Well, there's an easy C-hook add-in for that. So once again, Alt the letter C, and I'm going to look for a hole table. So I'm going to go into here, find my hole table. Mastercam then prompts me and says, okay, well, we're going to list your diameters, and do you want to put labels on your circle centers letting you know what corresponds? Well, yeah. So I'm going to click the green check mark. Mastercam says select the position for your hole table. I'm just going to pick over on the side here, and it's going to say, do you want to keep this? Yes, I do. So if I zoom in, you'll notice here, Mastercam's telling me I have 8 1/4 inches, 23/75, 4 1/2 inch, 4 7/50, 1 2-inch bore. If I zoom out, notice the A, B, C, D, and E, and I can zoom back in here, and you'll notice everything's labeled out nicely for me. Once again, just a quick way to make your life a little bit easier. And you can always undo this too, just like so. So that's just, you know, a couple of quick little C-hooks in there. There are a lot more different C-hooks that are out there. You can also go to the Mastercam website. There is a whole directory in there for different ones with descriptions. If I go onto the Mastercam site here, I'll just show you really quick just so you know where to go to. You can always go to Downloads, click on Mastercam X7, and if you scroll down, here they are. So these are different C-hooks add-ins that you can drop into that C-hooks folder, and there's some brief information on what each one of these do. And these are just add-in stuff that people have asked for and said, hey, it'd be cool if Mastercam could do this. So what they do is they create this as a custom app, or a customer creates this custom app. They can write them themselves if you know how to do it, and you can create a custom application. All right, so going to my next file now. Let's go ahead and grab this file. No. All right, so a couple things I want to show you on this. One of the things that, you know, I kind of find nice is a lot of times if I'm coming over and let's say I want to select on one of these edges here. There's actual geometry here, but I've got shading turned on, and I'm trying to pick like wireframe geometry, okay? So one of the quick things I can do, if I just want to pick on the wireframe geometry while the model is shaded, hold down the Shift key, and notice now I can pick on that, okay? I'm now picking on wireframe only geometry. It's just holding down the Shift key. And the Shift key will also work as a partial chain too. So if you're doing lathe, that's where lathe comes in pretty handy. Okay. So once again, you're in the shaded model. You don't have to unshade it and then try to pick on that that chain, that wireframe, you can leave it shaded, and if I want to pick on it, all I have to do is hold down my Shift key, bring it over to any of the wireframe entities, and click on it. If you ever want to know what I have on the screen, like maybe I have, do I have actual wireframe here, or do I need to create wireframe here, because this is a solid, you could always go up to what we call Screen, Statistics, and here it tells me exactly what I have on the screen. 28 lines, 62 arcs, 67 splines, 1 solid, and there's an operation tagged for that with 2 different tools. Once again, that was up on Screen, Statistics. One of the other things that I really like is creating containment boundaries. Let's say on a part, I've got to do some machining on this particular part, and let's just say on this particular face right here, there was some weldment that went on there. So I don't really want to machine the whole thing, but what I'd like to do is be able to just maybe grab a certain section, or maybe even, see what I've got here. Like on this, you can see I'm machining all the way across the whole face. Well, maybe what I want to do is just be able to machine around in this area here. Okay, there is an easy way to do it. Basically, what you can do is create what we call a silhouette boundary. It respects the plane that you're in. So if you're in a top plane, construction plane, it's going to do a projection based on that. So maybe in this case, what I want to do is make sure I'm up in Z by, let's just type in the bottom 10 inches. So I want to make sure I'm getting up in Z by 10 inches. Try that one more time. There we go. So now what I want to do is be able to look at this from a top view, and let's go ahead, and what I want to do is just pick on like this face here and get a nice projected containment. So I'm going to thicken up my line style just so I can see a little bit easier, and you guys can see it too. So if I go to create, I can say silhouette boundary, and then I'm going to go in. I know this is a solid, so I'm going to actually select on the solid face here, and all I want to do is I don't want to grab the whole body. I'm just going to have faces selected. So what I could do is say, well, I want to create a containment just around this. So if I select on this face, hit OK, and hit the apply, you'll see I now, at that 10 inches, there's my geometry where it created that. Go to a top view, unshade that, and you can see I now have a nice containment to tell the toolpath I only want you to cut in this area. So if I was to come into here, go into containment, right click, rechain all, pick what my containment is going to be, and I can regen based on that. And now it stays only in that area. This is a great tool. You can do multiple faces too. So like I said before, in a case like this over to here, I'll turn on my shading. Once again, I'm in my top view. I just want to machine like maybe this area, just along this ledge here. So I want to create a containment going around here. Well, it's easy to do. Just go to Create, Silhouette Boundary. I'm going to pick on my solid face once again. I'll pick this face, this face, this face, this face, and this face. And just for the sake of argument, I can do the same thing over to here. This face, and actually we'll just leave it there. Let's just hit Apply. So right now you can see I've got a nice containment going just all the way around here. I can always come back into here, right click, say Rechain All, and hold down the Shift key. That's where that Shift key comes in handy. Haha, just dying to do that. And then regen it there. All right, so that's utilizing the silhouette. Works very, very well. It's great for containing even 2D geometry. Right now I'm doing it on 3D, but if you wanted to do it on 2D geometry, you could absolutely do it on 2D geometry. All right, let me see here. Another thing that I want to show you, and I think I can do it with even this file here, is, sometimes I like just kind of hiding stuff just so I can see it on the screen. Like, remember before when I created this as geometry? And let's just say I just want to be able to look at that containment boundary for what reason. What's nice is utilizing what we call the screen hide command. Now, I always use the hotkey. The hotkey for it, as you can see right next to here, is Alt and the letter E, okay? So hide just temporarily hides what you don't pick off the screen, Okay, so let's just say I want to keep all the green geometry on my screen. So I could go and say all color green. You can see it highlighted. Now I'm going to use the Alt and the letter E at the same time. So I'm holding down the Alt key, hit the letter E, boom, it disappears temporarily off my screen just so I can see what I've got going on. This is a quick way to hide geometry, or you only want to look at certain things. You can always do it, right from the screen, hide entities. So if you want to bring it back, all you have to do is hit Alt and the letter E. It brings it right back. Maybe what you want to do is only keep the solid on your screen. Once again, highlight the whole solid, hold down the Alt, hit the letter E, and you can see now it just kept the solid on there. You want to bring it back, Alt and the letter E again. It's a quick way to do this. All right, so we're moving right along here. So now what I want to do is let me open up a tombstone here. Not that one. Here we go. All right, so I've got a part, or my tombstone here. And what I want to be able to do is, a lot of times, design's busy, and what you want to be able to do is quickly drop a part onto your screen and orientate it onto your tombstone. So what I can actually do here is I have my tombstone set up, so now I'm going to grab a part. So I'm going to go to File, and we're going to use the File Merge, because I want to keep this part on my screen, but I want to merge another part onto it. So especially when we're doing 4-axis stuff, so what I can do is, let's say I'm going to grab my 1, 2, 3 block. Now right now it does nothing. Reason being is I have my shading turned on. If I hit the shading off, there's my block right there. Okay. So now all I want to do is be able to reposition my block. So if I come up to here, basically you have the ability to be able to go and select where it's going to be placed, because right now it's just placing it at the origin. You also have a scale factor. I can also do a rotate, which I'll do in a second here. But let's just say I want to drop my part right here on my fixture. So if I turn the shading back on, there it is. Okay. Now while I'm still in the command, I could still also come into here and basically drop another one to it if I really want to, and just keep kind of going as I go along here. Once I hit apply, I can now pick, there's my next one. So you can see now I have multiple on there, and I can keep going around to each one of the faces. Well, maybe what I want to do is just drop like a different part on here and on the opposite face for when I manufacture. I can always go right into here, go File, Pattern, Merge, select what I want to bring in, and let's go ahead and bring this one in. Once again, you don't see it. If I turn the shading off, it's down here on the bottom. So what I want to do is now I want to put it over on this face. So all I have to do is come into my Select, and maybe right now I'm going to drop it right there. So as you can see, if I turn the shading on, the problem is it's in the wrong orientation, right? Not a problem. Hit 90, and it rotates it around for me. Okay? And I can keep going along and make these going all the way down. It's a really easy tool to be able to throw up fixtures on here. Now, one of my favorite tools also is if I want to move this stuff around, what I want to do is maybe I want to move this off in Z or move it down in X or Y. Using the dynamic X form is a great tool. It works very, very, very well. Now, one of the things that I look in here that makes things nice and easy is when I bring those parts in, I brought them in as a group, okay? So if I was to go down here in the lower right-hand corner, if I go groups, each one of these that I brought in is being brought in as a group name. So I have control over on how I want to select this too. And I can name these if I want to. But what this allows me to do is quickly be able to grab on that. So if I wanted to, I could say, pick on my X-form group. Oops. Let's just go X-form. Let's go to my dynamic. And then I could say all group manager, and let's say I just want to grab onto that part. Now I have that part. I can say that's all I want to do, and then I can have control on where I want to put this. So I can snap it right here, and now what I can actually do is utilize my slider here to move the part anywhere I want to, back or forth. Or I could actually go and slide it out. I can also slide it down in Z, apply it, and there I go. There's my part. So I can easily manipulate it and move it around. Real nice tool. So Another really nice technique, even when you're utilizing, whether you're doing multiple parts like this on a tombstone, or if I'm utilizing a rotary where I've got multiple parts turned on that, or even if I'm just machining parts where I'm machining both the front and the back. These view sheets down here, I don't know if you guys have played with them, but man, they are powerful. And I want to show you, especially on this, since I'm already into a part like this, where it comes in really, really handy. So let me just grab this part that's already got all the holes loaded on there. Hole axis. Of course, I never have the part where I want it. I guess I should open up the ones I want to show view sheets. Open up the file. It says view sheets. Okay, so on a part like this, right now I've got parts on, let's say, the front view and on the side view, and I'm going to be flipping back and forth with having to work on this. So it would be really nice if I could actually just click on a view sheet and it would automatically have that view loaded in the way I want to. Like for instance, let's say I go to like my front. Okay, this will be my front view. On a lot of machines it's B0, right? Or B90? B0? B0. So I can actually have this view set up to right here where I'm like, okay, this is the view I want to be able to look at. So it will save what view this orientation is, and I can also tell it when I click on this view to update my construction and tool planes, which is very, very handy. Did you know that, Dave? All right. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to say new view sheet. So I've got a new view sheet here, okay? And I'm also going to come in here and rename the view sheet, and I'm going to call this, let's say, I don't know, B0 front. That's what I'm going to call it. So I just renamed it. So the other thing I'm going to do is make sure my construction plane is set right. So if I was into here, let's just say for the sake of argument, I can now say I'm on the front view, or I can right-click and go to View, go to my View Manager, and we are going to be on the front. Equal it out, boom. So now you can see I'm on the front WCS. So once I'm set there, all I have to do is just say Save View Sheet Bookmark. So right now it's going to save that view. Okay. So I'm going to go back to an isometric view, and I'm going to reset my WCS. So now you can see I'm back to where I was. But what the cool thing is right now I'm in my, basically my main. But if I go to my B front, it updated everything for me. See that? So now, not only am I in the right view, but it also updated my construction planes, which is nice. And you can see now it's back into that orientation. Right-click, go to my view, go to my View Manager. We'll reset this again, equal everything out. Awesome. And I can do the same thing for the right side, or my B90. Okay? So I'm going to right-click in here, go to my right side. Okay? Now once I have that set, all I have to do is right-click and say New View Sheet. And I can always name it. We can go B90, right side, whatever what you want to call it. And then what I can also do is set up my WCS here to make sure everything's good. Go into my View Manager, and let's just call this the right side. So now you can see that set. So now, once again, I'm just going to tag that. So save this out as my bookmark. So now you can see WCS, right side, right side, right side. If I click on this, notice this all updates for me. It's a quick way to utilize view sheets. That way, if I want to go back to even my main, now I'm back to the top, you can see everything keeps updating for me, which is nice. Go to the B90, there it is, everything updates. What this will do is save you time if you do go into a different view and you forget to turn on the proper planes for your construction and tool plane. This will allow you not to forget that stuff, which is nice. And you're going to show a stock model, right? Okay. So now what I think I'm going to do is turn this over to Dave. Dave's got, I don't know, about a half a dozen things to show, and then I'm going to get into the X8 stuff. So Matt's going to go ahead and trade screens, give power to Dave. Maybe Chris.
All right, I think we're all good to go here. All right, so I got a couple things to show you guys. I'm going to start off in the 2D mode as well. So I got a part up on the screen. A lot of different pockets nested to different depths and whatnot. So kind of the old school way to do this would be, a lot of different toolpaths, one for each different depth with nested chains and whatnot to keep the different boundaries. One of the things we can actually do utilizing our 2D high-speed toolpaths is take this all in at once. So if I actually just start off with a back plot, and then I'll show you how I got there. Start off with machining on the outside, and you can see it's working from the bottom up, machining out all the different zones using our dynamic motion, and then it's also going to be hitting each one of the flats. So the reason why this can actually do this, go into our chaining. Start off our material boundary is going to be the outside stock, and then the avoidance regions, I can actually just go to solid chaining. I'm going to take off my different area options, and then just be selecting each one of the faces. And what that's going to then pick up on is the depth for each one of these faces as an avoidance, so it's not going to go below those in each one of those XY planes. And that gets toggled by, under depth cuts, utilizing island facing.
Because otherwise, normally you would have to have multiple operations in there to get each one of those zones.
That's correct. Could you hear Chris? Okay. Just making sure he was being picked up on the mic. So it's a nice handy way of doing all that. One operation instead of probably about 12 to make this part happen. While sticking with the 2D type of toolpaths, I got a part here. It's a little bit of a cam lobe. I'm going to be utilizing a 2D toolpath, just a contour, just taking the tool, going back and forth down the center of this. Nothing too crazy on the toolpath, but given it's a contour, it's not going to actually look at the stock. So what we can actually utilize is our Toolpaths Trim and trim away the stock up to the blue or the purple lines that I got going on there. Make it a little bit more of an efficient toolpath and curve around.
So one of the things about this that a lot of people would be, asking, well, why would you want to do this? Well, it just eliminates a lot of that air cutting. Because the stock is already at kind of a round shape like that, what would be nice is to be able to be a little bit more efficient as far as, cutting a 2D toolpath here because we are using a line, but eliminate a lot of that air cutting up on the top where we don't have as much stock. This is a quick tool in order just to trim away that stock or that extra toolpath that a lot of people don't even know about that exists. I like that one, Dave.
Glad. Helps cut the cycle time quite a bit. Still with the 2D toolpaths, I'm going to show a little bit about stock model.
So one of the things that was introduced, was it X6?
X6.
X6, there was actually an introduction of what we call a stock model. So what this really does is you can actually go and define out, like the old school way would be is I have a part, I do a toolpath to it, I take it into verify, I verify that part. I now have what we call an STL of what that part would look like once I run my toolpath. Then from there I could do a file save and then save it out as an STL. Well, when X6 came out, they actually put this functionality to be able to have that stock model view right inside your operations.
Okay, so what I got going on here is two parts, two different vices over here. I'm just going to be flipping the part over. You can see just on the bottom side over there. Thank you. So I got all the toolpaths for the first side. What I created was a stock model. Starting with the very basics, it creates, based on my stock setup. And I can take a look at that, and you can see it's just a block, rectangular block, in the size of my stock. What I can then do is to utilize the stock models like verify would be create it, utilizing our rectangular block, and then telling it process through all these toolpaths. What that's going to do is end up creating my model that looks like this, and that's going to represent everything that gets machined away from those operations.
And this, you don't even have to go into Verify to get this view. You can just go ahead and you'll notice up in the very top, Dave said only show selected toolpaths. So once that's active and only display that geometry, it's only going to show what's associated with that stock model. That's what you're getting that view on. And those you can toggle on and off. They're just handy little productivity tools to be able to clean up what you see on your screen.
So one of the other features that we can utilize the stock model for is flipping and the stock to other planes for other setups. So what I actually have here is another stock model that I'm just telling it reference the bottom plane, because what was the top is now going to become the bottom. Flipping over.
Flip the part over, basically.
Yep. So if I turn that on, now you can see the part is actually flipped upside down. It's still referencing where the material had been removed from the first side, but is now flipped over to the second side in proper orientation on my vise. And that's just by utilizing the planes. With other stuff to do with stock models, for more of the 3D side, open up another file here. I got an impeller I'm working on. It's doing a little bit of 3+2 type of machining, so I'm utilizing surface high-speed, OptiRest roughing toolpaths. So what I can start off with is a model of my turn blank, and I can associate an OptiRest toolpath to that. What these toolpaths then do is it's always trimmed backwards towards the stock. So if I actually look at the OptiRest toolpath, you can see that I don't get any of that cuts up in the top section where the stock isn't there from the turn profile. After each one of these OptiRest toolpaths, I can create a stock model, reorient to a different B, C index position, and keep creating different OptiRest toolpaths, and it's going to keep updating, picking out only where the stock is still.
So basically what you're saying, Dave, is I don't have to do as much air cutting because we're referencing back to what was cut previous. So Mastercam, that particular toolpath, knows exactly where the stock is being left at and where there isn't stock, correct?
That is correct. Cut away all that air cutting, make a nice optimal toolpath. And you're always keeping track of where it is visually for your sake.
Hey Dave, what happens if I change like one of the beginning toolpaths? What happens to all those stock models?
All of them are going to go dirty, which is rightfully so. If I increase my stock to leave here, all these toolpath things start going dirty, and you just have to regenerate down the line just by hitting regen all. It is going to compound down the line.
I don't have to recreate them?
Don't have to recreate anything.
Wow, that's huge.
I'm just going to close out of that one. Got some storms going on back here.
Oh, probably going to lose power. Man, I thought that was your stomach for a second.
So yeah, if the webinar cuts, that means we lost power.
Get into a couple other stuff with our 3D toolpaths. Not sure how many of you guys are utilizing our OptiRough toolpaths, but there's a lot of great functionality that we have inside of here. So take this part for instance. It's a nice, just basic cavity, a lot of flats at different levels, and I'm going to set up, a depth of cut. Well, with our 3D toolpaths, if that depth of cut isn't going to, land right on top of one of these flats, I might leave a different amount of stock. So I, set up my depth cuts right inside of my toolpaths, and then I can take a look at what my stock model actually created for this. You can see that the stock that was left on some of these shelves, it varies from shelf to shelf.
Why did it do that, Dave?
Because if it doesn't land right on that depth, at let's just say 1.5 depth of cut, it doesn't know to put in an extra step right there.
Okay, I gotcha.
So what I can utilize inside our Opti toolpaths is our step up function. And kind of a quick easy tip is if you go set the step up to be the same as your step down, it'll make sure it hits every single one of those flats right on the money. And you can see based on my stock model right on top of the actual model, I'm at final depth on each one of these. And of course that also recognizes your stock to leave that you're putting in there.
So I can leave extra stock on the walls for finishing and finish the floors that way.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Nice easy way of doing it.
When flipping the stock model upside down in between vices? How do you position the stock model in the other vice?
The coordinate system. The question was how to position the...
You should wait and do this at the very end.
Okay.
Just figured, yeah.
We'll answer that question towards the end. I'll get back to that one. So continuing on with 3D toolpaths, another new one that we've come out with recently would be our service high-speed hybrid toolpath. So our hybrid toolpath is kind of a little bit of best of both worlds. We got a combination of our waterline toolpath and our scallop toolpath. Waterline toolpath, that's really great for your steeper walls. Scallop toolpath, that's really great for your shallower surfaces. Waterline or hybrid's going to do both. So what I got first is how I would program this originally, where I'm doing a waterline toolpath
with one different, like a set step down. I don't know what your step down is. Let's just throw something out saying that it's a 30,000 step down, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So the waterline toolpath looks really great on those walls, but it's not going to hit the floors at all. It doesn't deal with the shallow surfaces because it's a step down based toolpath.
Well, the other thing too, on those flats, if I'm using a bull end mill, I probably wouldn't want to have that same 30,000 step down on the flat areas. So it could be probably more aggressive.
That's correct. So now, continuing without going to the hybrid, I'd have to put on a scallop toolpath in which I can, do a more aggressive step over to be able to hit those shallower surfaces. So that's going to be two toolpaths to make that happen versus inside the hybrid toolpath, I can tell it, give me my 5,000 step down or 30,000, whatever we're specifying, and then my more aggressive 3D step over. And right now I'm telling it anything flat, so anything 0 degrees is what I'm machining with the 3D step over, but I could also tell it anything, let's just say 15 degrees and shallower, it would be machined with the 3D step over.
So basically your Z step down would be considered to be your water line, your vertical wall, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and then the 3D step over is considered to be my flat areas that I want to have a more aggressive step over if I'm using like a bull end mill.
That is correct.
Sweet.
So what we get is an all-in-one toolpath, nice constant motion down, and then is going to control making sure we blend onto the floor completely properly with our scallop toolpath, all built into the hybrid.
And it's all one toolpath.
Yep. Quick, easy, get the job done. So I got another file that I want to show. This one's actually an IGES file that customer sent in here. Comes in all, out there in space. If I look at this from the top view, it's all tilted off to the side. It's out there in three-dimensional space. I just want to quickly be able to reorient myself, get a bounding box on it, and be ready to go. So one of the tools that is actually free for anybody, Verisurf came out with a package of different tools that you can get access to. I believe we are uploading that right now to our website for the download for X7. Once you install this, you get this extra pull-down menu up top here. And one of the nice features inside here, there's a bunch of other really nice ones, but one of the really nice ones I like is minimum bounding box. So if I click on that, I get the option to just create my bounding box and lines and arcs, create a solid model in place of that bounding box, as well as create a new working coordinate system right off of that bounding box. I can select the surfaces, or I'm just going to say, give me all the surfaces. It's going to scan everything. Boom, right there. Creates my bounding box, creates a stock model in place. I can expand it X, Y, Z, in relation to that new plane. Hit OK. Top view. And just like that, I'm oriented square onto this part that was all skewed at 3 different axes, ready to go. So a really nice tool, and there's a bunch of other nice tools built into this package. It's a free add-on that you can download off our website. We're going to have that on our website pretty shortly here. It's also on eMastercam's forum as well.
Yeah, that 3D PDF is nice. You can actually rotate the part in the PDF.
Yeah, not sure if anybody caught that as well, but you can also create a 3D PDF as basically a setup sheet, and all inside a 3D PDF you can zoom in and out and rotate around and kind of look at everything pretty easily. That was all the files I had, so I want to jump back to answer a quick question real quick, or do you want me? So I'm going to answer the quick question on the stock models.
So yeah, we're moving it between devices.
Yep.
You like flip it and position it.
So what this is really utilizing is our plane. So if you're just flipping, let's just say what was the top is now going to be the bottom. I'm now just going to utilize the bottom plane. And to move it, I can then utilize the XYZ coordinate system of that bottom plane to shift that around. So if I want to raise this up or drop it down, I can adjust the Z value. So I'm just going to say -4 inches just to shift it up in Z for us. You can see my stock model went dirty, regenerate it, and now I just moved it up in Z by 5 inches.
And Dave, show inside the parameters there what you set for the proper plane inside that one. There you go.
So that's all right here under the stock plane. You click on the button, and that's going to allow me to pick any one of my planes. So it comes down to how you're translating the model around.
All right, do you want the presenter back, Chris?
Yes, please.
Yep, we're going to switch back over to Chris being the presenter, and he's going to show you guys a little bit of a teaser on X8.
All right, excellent. So what I want, man, there's a ton of stuff in X8 that they've kind of enhanced to make things a lot easier that I'm going to be going through, not necessarily today. I just kind of wanted to focus on one thing. I didn't want to get too carried away. We've already been on for almost 45 minutes here. So I just kind of want to show you guys a few things inside of X8 that's going to be new. One of the things that they've added in now is you'll notice up here on model prep. This allows me to be able to modify a solid model quickly and easily. I can push, split, remove features. I'm going to get more into that at a different time, but there's just a ton of stuff in here. What I wanted to focus on today is how they've made a couple of changes in the HSD 2D Toolpaths. So I'm going to grab a part here, pretty simple part. So, you know, before, if I was to do a part like this, let's just say the old X7 way, you know, basically I want to, you know, machine out this shelf right here. So basically what I would have to do in X7 is go into my Toolpaths, and I'm going to go into my high speed, and let's just go ahead and I'm going to pick on dynamic. Now, before I go any further, I want you to notice that this drastically reduced. Basically, they've got, you know, 6 toolpaths down to basically 2, but a lot of the functionality, or all the functionality, is still here. So dynamic mill is now just dynamic mill, and that's for core or area, and also dynamic rest mill. So they just put underneath one dialog box, and I'll get more into that as we go through in the up and coming weeks on how that really works. But if I click on dynamic, basically this is going to be the name of my NC file, and basically right now this has kind of changed quite a bit. They've added in now the stay inside, stay outside, extension, avoidance, air, containment, and chain. So right now what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and utilize our solid selection, which has changed too. And basically what I can do is say I want to go ahead and basically do an open profile cut, which you couldn't do before. So if I come into here, I can say I want to start my chain there, that's the face, and I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Now what I want you to notice, if I had that turned on, let's try this one more time. Let's do partial this time. So right now I've got edge selected, I've got a loop, and I'm doing a partial loop. So I unselected because I didn't have that turned on as I was talking. And I can zoom in right here. Notice the yellow and black line, those are made to pop and help you out for visualization. So basically I can click this loop, I can say OK, and now it's asking me for the end of that loop. My end's going to be here. So you can see now I have an open pocket. Now once again, X7 you couldn't have this open pocket. It had to be a closed pocket. So now here I can just say, all right, we're just going to go with the machining area. I'm just going to leave these as they are, and I'm going to go ahead and utilize dynamic, and I'm going to pick a tool. And let's just grab a 1/4 inch tool, and I'm just going to let it run. And I get this saying, Mastercam will close the open chaining region with a straight line when it's on the left side of the chain. So basically what it's going to do is it sees this is open and it's just going to run a straight line across there. Go ahead and generate it, and there it is. So now you'll notice, see how I'm just machining inside of this? Not exactly what I want, but I wanted to show you what it's going to look like. Now in X7, what I would have done was called this a core, and then also called this as my avoidance, and then I could have done the same thing. But now I can just pick it as a pocket, and inside of here, basically what I can do is say, stay on the outside, just like that. So I went from stay on the inside as a area, and I'm saying core is going to be the outside. And since it knows by that open chain exactly what's open, it knows where to overlap. And now you can see I get a nice overlap on there too. Now one of the first questions I asked is I'm like, yeah, so on that overlap, how do I control how much overlap I get? Haha, right here. He was quick and fast to ask me or answer my question back on that. And you can see you can adjust the actual overlap there. Just like so. Now you can see I'm getting more of an overlap. Okay? That one's kind of easy. It's kind of a straight pocket, nothing, too drastic. Now the one that I kind of was curious on, and let me just kind of zoom around here and zoom in, was this. What happens in a pocket like this, where I've got an open area? How does that all work? Well, what's nice, once again, is you can go into Toolpaths. I can go into high speed. We're going to use my dynamic again, and it's going to say, well, what do you want to go and cut as your part? So I'm just going to say pick here. And this one, just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and tell it to go and do a full loop on this. Okay? So I'm just going to pick this whole space. Now before I did it as an open, this one I'm going to leave as a closed. Okay? And I'm going to show you a different technique. So right now I'm going to say from the inside just to show you what I get. And we're going to run the same tool, and I can even tell it to eliminate the stock here. Boom, boom. Machine it. Take a second. And there it is. So you can see I'm machining it out. I'm respecting all the walls here. I'm not violating anything. But I really would like to have that as an open area there. Now before, what would work is doing this once again as an open chain. I can do that as an open chain. Okay? But what I want to show you is if I go and say, now I want to go from outside, but now what I want to do is I want to call an air region. Okay? So right now I could click on here and say, well, I'm going to pick on an edge. And it doesn't even have to be a loop, but I just want to pick on this edge right here, hit OK. That's my air region. Now Mastercam will know that's my air region there. I'll regenerate that. There we go. There's my air region. So now it gives me an overlap, and I can have multiple air regions on there. This is a nice, powerful tool. I love this. Okay? Makes things a lot easier, quick, get the job done, and you've got a lot of different techniques in here on what you can use. Let me just grab a different one here. Don't save. And I believe it was on this one, yes. All right. So once again, I want to go ahead and I want to machine this off, okay? I just want to come across here, get all the stock out of here, but I don't want to violate this. So I'm going to utilize basically the same techniques, Toolpaths, and I'm going to go to high speed, and let's go to dynamic. And basically what I'm going to do is do a solid chain again. And once again, I can pick a whole loop just to make it easy. There's my loop. Hit OK. And let's say I want to go and we're going to say on the inside because I don't want to cut on the outside. And just hit OK. And let's grab my tool. And we'll leave it with no stock. Let's see what she cuts at. So there it is, respecting that, but I really would like an overhang on there, right? Well, two things I could do. I could have done this as an open contour again, or I can always go back and say, well, I've got it close, but I need it to overhang on this outer edge here. Well, that's not a problem. Air region, and I'm going to do a partial this time. That's the face I want, and I'm going to end right here. There's my partial. Hit OK, and I'm going to regen. Voila. Okay, so I get a nice overhang there. See that? What do you think, Dave?
I think that looks darn good.
What about this area in here? What if this was already out of there? And see how I feel like I'm just wasting a ton of time in there.
Pretty inefficient.
So here's another thing that we can do. You also have what we call air regions. So I could come into here and give it a closed chain and say add chain. Pick on this loop. This is a closed loop now. Regenerate it.
It didn't add it.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I'm talking and not seeing what I'm picking on. There we go. Now we've got two chains in there. There you go. So now I am moving across there. I do have a nice overlap on there, but now I'm not doing all that air cutting. That is nice. Now the other thing I could do is also say, well, from my top view here, maybe what I've got going on is, let's say, you know, Dave was machining this part, he screwed it up. So what we had to do is we had to send it out to the welder, and basically we had to get it welded, okay? So we know we have to stay within this area because I have, you know, this is the area that has the weld on there. So since Dave made the mistake, I don't want to have to go back and recreate this toolpath, but what I can do is utilize a containment and tell it to stay within this area. So I'm going to go to wireframe, and I can mix and match. Notice how everything pops in X8 too. This is the other thing I really like. Easy for me to see. But now I'm going to tell it to stay within that area. Now it's only toolpathing in that area. Well, what happens if I threw a clamp into here too? So let's just say I have a clamp in there too. I can also add that into there too and say, hey, guess what? This is going to be considered to be an avoidance area. Avoid this. Don't cut this. Regenerate. See that?
Thanks for fixing my mistake.
But yeah, Dave over at CNC showed me some of this stuff, and it's phenomenal on some of the things you can do in the dynamic toolpaths and how to manipulate the chaining. You just got to think a little outside the box, because some of it was kind of new for me, but Dave, I thought, did a great job. Dave Clignero did a great job of showing some of this stuff. But I'm going to get more and more into this. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a quick little preview of what's going on. I was hoping this was going to be as long as it was, but it is what it is. I am going to be coming out next with doing rollouts on the X8, and I'm going to break them down into little bits. But if you guys have questions on stuff, feel free to fire them away here, and we'll try to answer them over the next few minutes. What's we got, Matt?
Nothing yet.
If you do have other questions, we're going to kick out of here. If you guys do have questions, please feel free to email in or give us a call. Once again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down, go through this with us, taking a look at the X preview, taking a look at some of the tips and tricks. We are going to try to do something also where we're kicking out maybe even like a 2-minute video. If you guys have things that you guys would like to see or something else you'd like to see, you know, please do me a favor and let us know. Email in. And we will go from there. But once again, guys, thank you very much. Hope you stay dry today, and let us know if you have any questions.
And a recording of the video will be on our website, on our blog. It's under the What's New button here, or shoprink.com/blog. And there'll be a recording of the video for you guys to view later in case someone else, you know, wants to see it. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. We need to have exit music.
We can play some.